gmail.com. And to get things underway, we'll start with a reading from the Big Book. I'm on page 79, Paul. Second paragraph down. Although these reparations take innumerable forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding. Reminding ourselves that we have decided to go to any lengths to find a spiritual experience. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. We may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. Usually, however, other people are involved. Therefore, we are not to be hasty and foolish and a foolish martyr who would needlessly sacrifice others to save himself from the alcoholic pit. A man we know had remarried. Because of resentment and drinking, he had not paid alimony to his first wife. She was furious. She went to the court and got an order for his arrest. He had commenced our way of life, had secured a position, and was getting his head above water. It would have been impressive heroics if he had walked up to the judge and said, "Here I am." We thought he ought to be willing to do that if necessary, but if he were in jail, he could provide nothing for either family. We suggested he write his first wife, admitting his fault and asking forgiveness. He did, and also sent a small amount of money. He told her what he would try to do in the future, and he said he was perfectly willing to go to jail if she insisted. Of course, she did not, and the whole situation has long since been adjusted. We were talking these last couple weeks about level confusion, and so I thought that was a good reading for level confusion, or whatever you want to riff on, Paul. I'll give it up to you.
All right. Thanks, Jacob. Paul, alcoholic. I'm just going to share an experience that illuminated the first paragraph. Yeah. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. So I was south of here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It was a rainy day. I had about, 6 months sober, maybe a little more. And I was driving, it was at night. I was driving up the mountain. It's a 2-lane highway on both sides, small, thin lanes with a big drop off on the side of the guardrail. So the plane, I was thinking of buying this car. I mean the plane, I was thinking of buying this car. That came later when I was thinking about buying planes. This is my first year sobriety. I hadn't reached the plane, and yeah, so the car started to hydroplane. Yeah. The car was just always sinking. But now I was pointing in the wrong direction.
Paul, you're breaking up.
Yeah, you're frozen, Paul.
The car had died.
I think we got to give him a second to catch up.
Yeah, there's no sound.
Yeah. It might have something to do with us both being logged in under the same heading. We'll see.
Just take over, Jacob.
Well, I was thinking with that reading, for instance, that we could use the message of non-duality to support our egos in a sense. By if we were in that situation of owing alimony, being in the place of possibly going to jail, and well, there's no self to go to jail. That's not going to work. You got to solve the level on the level. Yeah. I thought I saw Paul there for a second. Let's see. Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we'll get to that point, but I think this point is a more dog shit awareness point. So
Sure.
I was hydroplaning, and it seemed that that disconnection was about the amount of time it felt in the car spinning. So this guy started helping me, and these cars started flying by, and they were sort of like, some of them were hitting the guardrail, hitting another car, not bad, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ. And then finally I got the car started, and I was just going to take off. Yeah. Based on, I had a fear that I was going to be arrested and stuff. And I'd caused all these little accidents. So I had this huge drive to take off, but I was in AA. And that idea of AA showed up, and I pulled over to the rest stop where all these other cars were pulling over. The police came, the fire truck came. I was thinking I was going to be in the Santa Cruz newspaper, you know, fucking newly sobered man causes horrible deaths on the highway. So, but I just stopped. I got out, and I was ready to take my punishment, so to speak. The cop comes, starts talking to everyone. No one wants to press any charges. He looks at their cars, he sends them off, and then he looks at my car and he sends me off. Yeah. And I just drive. And thank God I had one of those little voice recorders, because I told the story before the head could tell the story. Because I was thinking of taking off, getting off at the first exit and like hiding in a garage or somewhere for a few hours, and then basically take the back roads to try to get home. You know, but instead, the AA principle overrode my old knee-jerk reaction. That was an incredible experience for me, really was, because it was a demonstration. I was pledging allegiance to something other than the head, yeah? So I had broken something. It was great, really. It was so thing. So that's that first thing. The other idea of non-duality, and we use the example of, yes, there is no self. Everything is seemingly so, meaning it's appearing to be true to us or not. Yeah, we're in a dream, let's say. And then in one of those dream sequences, your house is on fire and you're getting super hot and you're chanting to yourself, there is no house and there is no fire. That doesn't work. You need a pail of water. Yeah. So you put out the fire. And then you can look at, man, I'm at a lot of fires, and maybe you'll see your role as the fire starter, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So a clarity on one level leads to a clarity on another level. Yeah. Yeah. So when you need the pail of water, seek the pail of water. Yeah. Yeah. And when you don't. Yeah. It's not like a law. You never seek the pail of water. Some days you don't need to seek the pail of water. Other days you do. It's nice to know where you're at, seemingly, yeah? So like in one of the preambles of the book, it says, you know, we are 100 men and women and men who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Seemingly, you know, I looked up the definition, and it was, one of them was, it appears to be true or false to us, yeah? So basically, the true or falseness of things based on us, really. Yeah. So I could have an idea, and I've been milking it for years, that the worst thing that ever happened to me was that night they pulled me over, the cops. What would happen if that night pulled me over, led me to getting sober? After a year or two of sobriety, I'd have to look at that same incident and see it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So what was it? Was it the best thing or the worst thing? It's basically the meaning that I'm giving it, yeah? based on where I'm looking at it from. So this is what the spiritual awakening is about, is changing where we're looking at life from. Yeah. It can't just, it doesn't give us another rehashed old attitude and outlook. Maybe it can fucking, you know, limp around for 3 months and then fail. It's a new attitude and a new outlook, a new freedom and a new happiness. So something isn't getting reestablished, it's new, yes? As if we never knew it was possible. You start looking at situations like that situation on that highway that I was just gonna run like I did with everything else. Yet something had me stop and get out of the car and tell the truth about what happened. And the results could have been anything, but that was the real demonstration. I stopped and I took responsibility. Yeah. That was a watershed moment in recovery for me, truly. If I would have ran and hid in that garage and pulled up a few hours later, I bet you I'd really want to get loaded the next day. Yeah. It probably would have been a cause and effect to the point where I wanted to get out of my skin once again. At this point, that wanting to get out of my own skin was getting muted by the principles and the activity in the program, where I could live successfully with the feeling of wanting to get out of my own skin. Yeah. I could show up to a job or a commitment at the same time feeling like I wanted to get out of my own skin. Yeah. Where before I never lived like that. If I felt an urge, I followed it pretty much. Yeah. And the mental state, the alcoholism was urging me to whatever would lead me to that drink. And basically I was just a goner, because as soon as I have a feeling to get out of myself, I did. I tried to. If I felt uncomfortable, I tried to change how I felt. The quickest way was doing drugs, but alcohol was there. If I couldn't get on this, the fast lane, I take the slow lane. It didn't matter. I just wanted to get out of me. And this was the beginning of facing life successfully. I had that incident and I faced it successfully. No court dates came out of it, no jail time, no mark on my record. It was clear. I showed up for it. I got better results than I could have imagined. And then I drove off with it on a voice recorder. So my head couldn't revise it in a few minutes or an hour. Yeah. I reported it like a news person, like a journalist. I did. Because I knew the head was going to make a story out of it. Yeah, completely.
That's hilarious.
So, of course, I try to play it to others. They could care less, but it was hugely important in this experience. So, yeah. So, another aspect of the non-duality we shared the other day, whereas you can't, as what's appearing in this world, Paul can't apply this idea of non-Paul to give Paul an advantage. It just doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't. You can give it a shot, but it doesn't work. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why a lot of people, for some reason, they have a solution, but they don't want it, which is AA. So they want to find maybe a fancier one, or, with Buddhist overtones or something like that. And now all these sub branches are broken off. And I feel humbly that a lot of people replacing AA with Buddhism, though Buddhism is awesome, but it used as a replacement leads to me getting drunk, probably. As I'm, going over the Heart Sutra, I'm drinking, shots with it. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm pontificating. It's just too much. So yeah. Yeah, so I understand. I think some people call it spiritual bypassing. I would love to bypass all spirituality, really. Just recognize it's our inherent condition, not an acquired condition that needs a lot of maintenance and vigilance, but we are spirit, yes? That's it, It's not what I'm not trying to become spiritual. I saw that as a losing proposition. But if I'm not that which I take myself to be, I may find out that I am more of spirit than I am of brain and body. It's just, yeah. And that's really putting the horse before the cart. And then you see how the cart drives with the horse in front of it. It can go pretty well. Yeah. When the horse is trying to when the cart's trying to push the horse, it may not go that well. There's a lot of shit. Based on your positioning, you're going to see a lot of shit in your life. So hopefully, yes. What do you think? How do you hear this one? Our daily reprieve is contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Yeah, that's a pretty important statement. Yeah. So our daily reprieve, whatever day it is contingent or is based on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Now, what would happen if you landed on the possibility you are a spiritual condition? I would think the greatest way to be a spiritual condition is to be a spiritual condition, not to have a spiritual condition or practice a spiritual condition or work hard to keep my spiritual condition fit. But being a spiritual condition to me would be the highest form of maintenance, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Becoming spiritually
Yeah.
conditioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, because if you're trying to acquire a spiritual condition as seen from the brain and the body, you're going to get like loose yoga outfits, maybe grow your hair, throw some puka beads on, starting to speak slower, gaze a lot. Your head will mimic what it thinks it would look like to have a spiritual condition. It's sort of like someone who's good at sounding like others, but this is way off. So it can't even sound like Johnny Carson. It just sounds like itself trying to sound like Johnny Carson. So it pictures itself as spiritual, which has to do with, unblemished skin and white teeth and be able to stretch my muscles and, put my leg behind my head. Those are great. Yeah. They're not implying an inherent condition. Yeah. So they're a mimicking of something that you're not, trying to come to grips with what it would look like if I was spiritual.
Yeah, the spiritual impressionist.
Yes, a spiritual impressionist. First, I got to get the costumes, the outfits, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just like everything, like Jacob was saying, when the head's involved, it can take what you think has a meaning and make it another meaning. All the while, you're living as if the meaning you think you have about it is the direction, but it isn't. Yeah. So what you think is moving you closer to the solution may be actually implying that you're farther from the solution. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of subtlety with why can't self get out of self? Why it would seem like obvious if I had a lot of interest in getting out of self, that would lead me to get out of self. But if it's self having a lot of interest in getting out of self, it does the exact opposite. It reinforces the self. Yeah. When does that fall in someone's life? You've got to have that shoe fall. That shoe has to drop for you to see something. Yeah. To see the statement of self can't get out of self has an incredible message in it. Even though it's a very short sentence, it's a living like barometer. You can see that in most cases, that's exactly what the head is doing. It's identified as Paul wanting to get out of a thing identified as self both being aspects of self. Yeah. So self can't get out of self. What happens? So what if you keep trying to get out of self? Do you think it does nothing other than not getting out of self? No, it puts you more in self. Yeah. There is an effect, but it's not getting out of self. The effect is the opposite. You feel more in self. The more desire you have as self to get out of self, the more you feel in self. Yeah. It's not like, oh, so self can't get out of self. There's no fucking, so what? No, self can't get out of self has an opposite, which is trying to get out of self is reinforcing that you're in self. What? Yes. Yeah. It's not just, oh, I can't get out of something. Who cares? Yeah. No, it's doing something else. It's reinforcing that you're in. Yeah. Many people don't see it. What happens if you don't see something? It doesn't mean it's not there. It could be going on like full bore without you noticing. Yeah. And then what happens when it produces effects that would be understood if you saw the concept of self can't get out of self, and you're completely confused. Why is this happening? Yeah. Because you're out to lunch, really. The parasite is almost like the octopus is the ink. It's just fucking spraying ink all the time, blurring shit up. Yeah. And you find yourself becoming aware of a punch after you get hit with it. That's not a successful way of living. You know what I mean? Especially if we don't learn from the punches. I mean, it gets sadistic. It gets fucking crazy. So, yeah, I'm walking around thinking I have ideas about what I'm doing today, but the parasite is also in there having ideas about what it's doing today, unbeknownst to Paul having ideas what he's doing today. Yeah. And a lot of times the selfing seems to override Paul's agenda. Yeah. That's the experience we always arrive at in active alcoholism, powerlessness. Yeah. We say this will definitely work and it doesn't, or this added to this will definitely work and it doesn't. And then this added to this, added to this. No, it won't. Yes. A simple recognition that you may not be something leads you to the possibility of being free from it. It's just that simple, really. And while you're in that event, you're going to see you've been trying to be free as it. Yeah. You were caught in the statement, self can't get out of self completely. What's one to do then? Surrender, yeah? Once you realize the only system you believe you can use to go somewhere doesn't have the capability of going there, there's an admittance, yeah? There's a surrender. The mental house, the reasoning, and all this collapses, maybe just for a nanosecond, but then things are done. Now a new attitude and a new outlook can start happening. Yeah, because you realize the futility, really, of a life run on self-will. You realize not on your will or self's will. Yeah, you've gotten it. You've had enough. Yeah, the camel back broke. Yeah. It's a done deal. There's no need to go reviewing it anymore. It's move on. Yeah. The horse is dead. You know, you don't have to keep going back every few weeks. The horse is dead. It's dead. Yeah. Move on. Yeah. But it could wake up. No, it can't. It's dead. You're moving on. Life has a different plan for us. It does. Now just submit and see what happens. And I tell you, obviously, the evidence that will be displayed, you and I learning how to face life successfully, you know, either that belief that you came to, step 2, has now become faith, yeah? That there's a faith or a trust in the infinite, that's perhaps the better way, yeah? So we're examples of the better way. We're not looking for examples of the better way. We are examples of the better way. We have lost faith in the self and we've gained faith in the infinite. Yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah. Then every day's numbers, you know, if you're like a mental accountant, when all the numbers come in and it collates that you're screwed, it's never going to get better, this and that. You don't look, you know, you hear the report, but you don't read the report. Yeah. Because you're in good hands. Yeah. You're not taking your condition based on secondhand information. You're feeling your condition now. Yeah. You're actually alive or awake. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have to wait till my head to tell me every night at 7 o'clock, my head tells me how the day was. Be quiet, put the TV down, shut this off. Oh, great one, tell me, your day sucked, you know, and that motherfucker did this or did that, or you should have known better. That radio show is off. You know what I mean? Well, thank you, Jacob. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. I don't see any hands right yet, but something you said was really interesting. You said, we can see that maybe we're not that. And I would like to think that I'm convinced that I'm not the selfing. But when you said maybe, that landed in a different way. And I don't know, I really felt that. And there's something about the maybe that perhaps could lead to the convincing or lead to the faith. Can you talk a little bit about that or maybe riff on that?
Well, I don't want to rush to a conclusion. I'm not
Right.
trying to impress you with my condition.
Yeah.
But being convinced sometimes isn't known on the mental level. Yes, it's changed like the line of control. Yeah, it's bypassed like the colonel in the office, and it's gone right to the general.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's a being convinced in your innermost. It doesn't mean it's in the daily activity of the thought system,
Right.
but underneath it, it's like the girding of it. So an echo from there reverberates through the system. All the megaphoning from the system doesn't reverberate in the innermost. Yeah.
Yeah.
The innermost is that unsuspected resource that's now woken up, so to speak, in our lives through the auspices of the AA program. Yeah. A silent voice now has a lot to say in our life. And for some of us, that silent voice is the loudest voice of all. Yeah.
Mhm.
So now sort of like a North Star that isn't based on daily conditions and circumstances. It's just solidly available all the time. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the head, I don't believe the head can be convinced or because it always flips to unconvinced. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have a stayability. Yeah. It doesn't have a durability. It jumps from, flame to flame. Yeah. So you'll be sitting there thinking, oh, I love AA. And then 2 minutes later, I hate every motherfucker in this meeting and whatever. Yes. So it's nothing. It doesn't have any, you can't rest there. Yeah. It's not assured. It's crazy, really. Yeah. Yeah. It produces irritability, restlessness, and discontent because that's its nature, really. It doesn't have a peaceful, calm, everlasting nature. It's agitated. Yeah. And when we're resting in there, we're agitated. Yeah. So we, monkey see, monkey do, basically. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we've come out of an evolutionary stage of surviving as that monkey or that monkey on our back. And now we're living life, which is different. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us got to, recognizing what you're relying on is failed is incredibly important, It's sort of like recognizing that the car you're in is going over the cliff. Thank God you're not the car. You can jump out. Let the car go over the cliff. Doesn't mean you go over the cliff unless you're identified as the car. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have a way out now. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people don't. They're in the act of being identified as that which is talking to them. And it leads them maybe taking their own life, because that's the only way they can think there can be peace, because they can't see a difference between what's talking and them. Yeah. Hopefully we've recognized it at least as a radio station or something
Mhm.
playing through the radio. It's not the radio. Yeah. I hope. I mean, for me, that's been the profound distinction that I feel has allowed me to live a lot of days as if the problem doesn't exist, you know? So doesn't mean problems don't exist. It says the problem doesn't exist.
Well, amen to that.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, we have a question from Ian Lagowitz. Ian, you want to come in?
Yeah, hey, sorry. Yeah, I
Stop.
can't get on video because I have such a weak signal, like freeze. But there's two things I just wanted to, like, kind of when you were talking about the word seemingly and the definition, and when you jumped over to that daily reprieve. You know, the word reprieve means like a postponement of punishment, and it kind of changes the whole thing. I just wanted to bring that up. But what I really wanted to ask you, I asked this last week, and so I'm going to introduce it again with the spiritual bypass. And like, where does, like, could you just elaborate on that? I've heard, it's the second time I've heard it from you, and I just don't understand it.
Well, I don't really either, in a way, but in other groups of like, say, spiritual groups, they look upon certain ideas that people can run into as dangerous for the person who's holding those ideas, because they may give them an idea that there's no work needed when there may be a lot of work has to be done. So this is what I feel spiritual bypass is implying, that people are trying to take the easier, softer no way. I'm all for that. Yeah. But just like everything else, the head is involved. And so the head will try to take advantage of everything. The message of non-duality, the message of Buddhism, whatever. It's just going to do what it's going to do. And it may, the head may mimic as if it's in a place that it ain't in. And therefore, it would be better suited if it would just tell the truth about what's actually going on than to have this chant that there's no one it's going on to and stuff without any real weight in it. Yeah. So I think that's what spiritual bypass implies, at least with me, from what I've heard. And then, so a lot of people, you know, people believe the way that worked for them is the way, but it's defined by how, you know, from their frame, which isn't the way, actually. The way is a much broader highway. And so just like many of us, they use the term in that reading, any lengths. Some people felt like they had to go to great lengths. Other people, there hasn't been any lengths demanded whatsoever. Yeah. So I think you just have to live by what works. And he speaks about it around the third step in the big book, that people make some absurd claims based on relying on this higher power. But those all can be corrected. And if you go through that phase and keep going, yeah, there'll be more of a maturity, and there'll be a sense feltness, not a mentally yapped about sense. Yeah, there'll be that feeling of knowing. before wanting to know and stuff. So I think that's my take on spiritual bypass. I'm all for it in some respects, because if the problem is engaged in doing the spiritual stuff, I would love to bypass that. Yeah, and just see you're not that. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that helped. But I think that's what they're implying. It's a warning for people coming up to these incredible ideas of you are what you're looking for. Trying to take the easy way, but it's another form of self can't get out of self. So the self hears that there is no self, so it tries to use that as a way of getting out of self. Like I had that simple example. I was living in Australia with a woman, and I'd been over to India, and these ideas were percolating in me, and of course my head was claiming them. So she was going out with her friends, and she asked me to do the dishes, clean up around the kitchen. When she got home, nothing had been done, and she looked at me and said, "Paul, why didn't you do the dishes?" Well, there is no Paul to do the dishes and shit. And she just said, "Fuck you, Paul, do the dishes." And then I did the dishes. So it's sort of like a crude example, but it's very illuminating. So that was sort of a form of spiritual bypassing. Yes. This way I was trying to bypass cleaning the kitchen. Now, someone had a very good joke the other day here, where the person says they were in a cabin, and the guy said, "Well, if there's no one here in the cabin, we don't have to turn the heat on." And he says, "All right, well, that illusion self is going to be freezing its ass off tomorrow morning." So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel you'll get a Zen bitch slap if you attempt to. The head will get caught trying to do the little bypassing, yes. But ultimately, spiritual bypass to me is great, really. Really fantastic. Yeah. Again, based on where the mind is before it. Yeah. That's the whole thing. I don't believe anything in and of itself is its thing. I believe we're giving everything the meaning it has, like it says in the Course in Miracles. I'm a firm believer in that. Yeah. So seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. You hear somebody who's recovered from alcoholism, that seems so true, gets a crack. Yeah. Now it's just a hopeless state of mind and body that I can recover from. Yeah. It's not a seemingly hopeless. It is a seemingly hopeless. That's why I can now get out of the hopeless case. Yeah. Because nothing's true. Nothing's false, really. Other than what we make it. A lot of people who are in Christianity, you could look at the New Testament, and that idea is emphasized quite a lot. When Jesus was supposedly involved with healing, he would always say, "It's done according to your belief, it's your faith." Yes. So basically, that's what we're in recovery. We tell the truth about the incredible, inordinate amount of faith itself, the failed system, and then an experiential migration into faith in the infinite. Yeah. So as you believe, so it is. All this stuff that he was saying is about mind. It's just telling you how mind works. Yeah. The small mind. You believe, so it is, seemingly. It's appearing to you as if that guy screwed with you. It's not appearing to anyone else, nor that guy. Yeah. But to you, you believe he's screwing with you. Yeah. Well, I used to make up major cases against people who I was living with. They had no idea that they were going to be dragged into Paul's mental court, already convicted. They had no idea what was going on. They were just making a pumpkin pie while I was planning their demise. I can't believe don't you know who I am? I know you've been thinking about it. No, I was thinking about it. They weren't thinking about anything. So, yeah. I hope that helped with the spiritual bypass. It's sort of like if you needed to do something and then you try to take the easier, softer way, and then the house collapsed in about a week. Yeah. So you needed to put, let's say, 3 tons of concrete. You try to bypass that. Oh, just throw a few bricks in there and then split, and then the house collapses in a week. Yeah. Yeah. See, but the spiritual bypass is implying something is necessary. That's not always true. It may be necessary, but it may not be necessary. Yes? If your attitude and outlook changes, what you thought you needed to do to arrive somewhere, you may see right through it now. You'll realize I'm already there where I wanted to be. Yeah? Yeah. That's a bypassing. That which is disguised as necessary may not be. Yes. For me to be sober, I have to have a job. These are ideas that weren't proven to be true. Yeah. And in the big book, they emphasize it. You don't need to have all these conditions for you to be sober. You can be sober no matter what. Yeah. So there's a bypassing there where the head has to, first I have to have a place to live. I got to have a job. Then I'll get sober. No, get sober and you'll probably find a job and a house and a place to live. Yes. So right. What the head thinks is necessary may not be necessary. So you bypass that for sure. Yeah. I can only be sober in this kind of, who's playing God there? Yeah. Who's laying out all the necessary requirements for you to be sober? The program isn't. It says all there is just a little bit of willingness. That's all that's needed. I've got to live in a nice place. Yeah. Wouldn't you want to bypass that shit? Yeah. I'm all for bypassing. I am. I swear to God. Yeah. All right, Jacob.
All right. Thanks. I think it was Ian.
Haven't you seen people, Jacob? Haven't you met people that I worked with a guy that I had to tell him not to do inventory.
Mm.
He was looking at everything, and this was years in sobriety, everything he did to see the motive behind it. It was all obsession with self.
Sure.
Guise of getting better. Yeah, I would tell him, stop freaking doing inventories. Fucking live. That's the program gave you an ability to live. Go out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say that to every person I worked with. I said it to him because it was obvious to me his self had found a niche in the program to thrive in. Yeah. Constant investigation of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit can be bypassed for sure. Yeah. You don't make stuff up so that you can say you did an inventory today. You do an inventory on stuff that came up. Yeah.
Right.
If nothing came up, hopefully when you get older in sobriety, you're not going to be drawn or compelled to do much inventory because nothing's fucking coming up. Yeah, there's just not much shit going on. Yeah. Do I want to have shit just so I can do an inventory so I can feel like I'm, you know, being spiritual? I don't think so. I mean, why would I want to do that? Yeah. But hey, if I need to do an inventory, do I do it? Yeah. I can feel something tweak in my gut. I look at it, I see, wow. And then I tell one of my sponsees who's got more time than me, and there you go. There's no need for make amend. It never left the porno theater of Paul, you know, so it didn't do any damage anywhere. Just, yeah. That's the whole point of doing inventories in the beginning, is so that you won't have to do them down the road. Yeah, because you can outgrow. First of all, you know, after a while, the store that you're inventorying isn't yours to begin with. There's been a surrender. Yeah. And there's a feeling that this store isn't even mine anymore. Yes. So when the boss tells me to do an inventory, I'm going to do an inventory. I'm just not going to do just random inventories. It's not even my store. I'm just working here. Yeah. I'll let the boss tell me what's saleable and unsaleable goods. I'm not going to pontificate. That's how I got fired from the last job. Yeah. Just, I have a new employer. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, don't you see that sometimes looking for shit is what makes the shit to be seen? Yeah, yeah. I don't want to be a super person. Yeah. I don't want to have like dry cleaning at hand every time my white robe gets dirty, immediately washed. You know, it's fucking, I don't care. I'm not burning down houses and shit like that. I don't even know how I feel most of the time because I'm not looking at it. Yeah. What? Yeah, I'm not. Just percolate through the day, go this way, go that way. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Paul, we have a question from Andrew Lockie.
Yes.
Andrew, you want to go ahead?
Hi, thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Paul. It's Andrew Alcoholic. Really interesting what you were talking about at the beginning of your story, Paul. Just a couple of questions actually I've got. That story you're talking about with the sort of car incident, do you know what? It's so bizarre that that happened to me on Christmas Eve, just gone now. And I deliver medication. I deliver medication for a big pharmaceutical company in this country, in the UK. And I was out on Christmas Eve about 10:15 in the morning, and I was cutting across a junction. And I see a car in the distance, and I'm thinking, well, I can get comfortably across there. But lo and behold, the car smacked into the back of my van. I spun around 180. It wrote her car off. Lucky enough, she got out and she was okay, and I just had a bit of concussion here in my head. And then obviously I had to phone the police. Police came on Christmas Eve, and then the ambulance were there. I had to have an ECG because I was getting really bad panic attacks. I was in full fear. And it was at that point, you know, we're talking about surrender, step 3, and just going, handing it over. And it was like, I was in total self of fear. And I just couldn't get it. Because exactly what you were talking about, I thought, I'm going to go to prison now, I'm going to go to court. Oh no, I've got a little baby daughter, she's 19 months old, I'm going to lose it. Oh no. But at the same time, the last thing I was thinking about was to have a drink. I was just based in total fear. It was so frightening, and it was actually quite paralysing. And I've been like it for since Christmas Eve, and I'm still a wee bit like it because I've not heard anything from the police or nothing. So I had to Google search today search that says how many court cases accidents go to court, and it says in the UK there's only 1% that usually go to court, settled out of court, and even that reading on Google, I just a sense of relief. So I don't know if it's true or not, whether I'll go to court, what will happen, whether I'll be found guilty, because I don't blame her for the accident, and I sort of don't blame myself. It was kind of like one of those debatable instances. So I don't like to say, because I think my sobriety has given me that, you see, it's given me the saying, if I was still drinking, I would have said, it's her fault. It wasn't me, it was her. But today I can actually sit there and go, I think it was nobody's fault as such, it was just an accident, and accidents happen.
Yes.
So I'm really scared at the moment a wee bit still. But the other thing I was going to say to you was about this self, and I find out of self. You know, I was up till about 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and I think it's probably because this is going through my head. But I closed my eyes, and I was listening to somebody on YouTube, and they were saying to me, they say, pretend you're a newborn baby. And I closed my eyes, and they say, you get no past, nothing. And they say, and the guy was saying, what are you experiencing? And I just says, just this open awareness and no body. And I thought, well, that's how the whole world must be, with just one awareness, and it's infinite. And at that point, it didn't last long, but at that point I was going, oh my God, I am not who I think I am. I'm not this angry guy. And that's just like you talk about self can be about itself. That's where my problems have lied all my life. I take too much interest in that guy that chats, and it's all based on fear and what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's why I drank for so many years. I'm going, Jesus, makes so much sense. But then that faded away, and I went back into self and fear with this accident.
Yeah, but it's not the you seemingly going back into self didn't erase that invitation. So don't worry about it. This is where the faith lies. You see how much faith is in the head, because we think when the head says you've gone somewhere from that truth, you feel like it's true. That's all produced with faith. Yeah, that faith is going to move from that false evidence that's constantly by faith appearing to be real to the infinite, and you'll start seeing false evidence as false evidence. You will. It's not like something you did as a Herculean task. It just becomes a newfound quality by a loss of interest in self. Truly. Yeah, truly. It's nothing you build. You find yourself there. You realize, geez, this stuff doesn't have the power to move me anymore, where it used to move me everywhere. Yes? It doesn't have the power to move me. That power that was moving me was faith, not what it was saying, but the faith in what it was saying. Yes? So I see the clarity now. And I see that perhaps there is this better way, which is trusting the infinite rather than finite self. Now, trusting the infinite, you can't describe that or capture it in a picture, but you can describe faith in the finite self. You can describe that. And that is the faith in the thoughts and what they're presenting. Yes? Yeah. And when you lose faith in the thoughts and what they're presenting, that's in the infinite, really. That's what happens. Yeah. Yeah. So, like for me, I stopped when I had that huge urge to take off. I pulled the car over and I surrendered to the circumstances I found myself in. That was, for this action figure, that was completely against behavior. I mean, I would have just taken off every fucking time. And yeah, this is what needs to be honored, is the demonstration of this new way, because the head will forget a miracle in 20 minutes. You gotta erect a little temple and fucking put its face in it and say, see, to dissuade its faith in itself. Yeah, that faith's gotta be broken and transferred. Yeah, it does. For us, it does. Any life run on self-will or having faith in self is not going to be successful. So, yeah, So, sober. Yeah. Yeah. And that's primary. And therefore, whatever comes and goes on, on that basis of sobriety, we can learn that we can face life successfully. So here you go, bro. Yeah. I didn't hear all that you said because there was an echo and your accent with an echo is easy to lose for me. And, but I got the gist of it. And yeah, probably that's why that story about the car accident came up, was basically hear it. That's how life is. Yeah. I didn't come up with it. I didn't,
No.
something comes up with it and it seems to be appropriate for at least one person in the Zoom. That's all that happens every week. Yeah. I used to have it happen. I'd be sitting there talking about something and then I would make up a person's name, Steve. And then the guy named Steve would say, "You're describing exactly what happened. How do you know it was me?" I didn't. Just came up with the name Steve and it applied. Happened so many times. These people think I'm a fortune teller. I said, no, the head just saw something, slapped it with Steve, and Steve, it hit Steve. Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea what's happening at these talks. That's the great news. Yeah. Something's moving, maybe something's moving you. There you go. Yeah.
Just when you spoke that, I just like, geez, that just happened Christmas Eve, and I went, oh my word, exactly the same thing. So I just have to leave out from to whatever happens.
Take advantage of the program, Andrew, too. Speak with others, because anything that we've been through, others have been through it. Yeah. And they can at least be a beacon, because that false evidence sometimes is like a wave pounding on the shore. It just keeps pounding and pounding. You need to take action out here. Like Jacob was talking about level confusion. Speak to other, addicts, alcoholics, recovered, hopefully. And then, you'll make it through this. And then there'll be a recognizing that something is doing for you what you can't do for yourself. And hopefully there'll be a release of all that's being withheld from that principle. And more, you'll release that which you can't do for yourself. Yeah, far out. Yeah. That's the principle of AA. That's the surrender. Yeah. Yeah. More and more gets revealed. What gets revealed? More shit that I can't do for myself, really. And I just, okay. I allow something to do what I can't do for myself. And yeah, it's treated very well. And I've been, I have the trauma of living under the tyranny of active alcoholism. And so the dog was afraid around the new master, but no more. No. Yeah. 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 All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Go ahead and stick around after the meeting if you want. We have a meeting after the meeting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any other hands, Paul.
Oh, let's see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, that's good then. Yeah. Let me say goodbye to everyone then. Andrew. Yeah. We got Walter from the Netherlands. Nice to see you, Walter. We got Mickey from Madeira. We got Ted from Redondo Beach. Yes. Yeah. We got Alex from the Hudson Valley. Wow, I'm remembering everyone's locations. Roman from Germany. Ruby from Wichita, Kansas. Stefan on having never left. So Joseph from France. Nice to see you, Joseph. Jacob, Seattle. Oh, we got Jesse from Ireland. Nice to see you, Jess. Kurt from Redondo Beach. Nina, I know she's from New York, but she lives in LA. Thank you, Nina, for the donations. Yeah. I befriended you on Venmo. I don't know what that means. But, yeah,
It's easier
we
for me
got
to
off
make
Monday.
donations, so that's a good idea.
Oh yeah. Oh good. Oh, good. Yes. I better do more of that. Yes. All right, Carl. Nice to see you, bro. We got Michelle from New Jersey. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Good, good. We got Kerry. He's now in Hawaii. Yeah. Those frozen roots of Minnesota thawing out finally. Yeah. We got Michael Stacy. He's decided to become, yeah, he's got a haircut. That's all I needed for my mother to think I was okay, was a haircut. You have a job and a haircut, that's it. That was the end of the investigation. I don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't want to know. You look all right. She was tired of hearing bad news. Chris from Mammoth Lakes, there he goes. He's in the perfect cabin look there. Yeah, very nice. We got Ian. Thank you, Ian, for the questions. Steve from Germany. Steve, I think you're the one. Thank you for the stuff you sent me. We started to post some Huang Po 1 and 2, part 1 and 2 on the website, if anyone's interested. And then there's actually another part, so we'll try to put that up later. But Huang Po is
terrific. You're welcome, Paul.
Yes, we got it comes out of that book. I've read that book. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I trusted it's from the book, so we posted it.
Great.
I can't sit for an hour. No. All right. We got Amy from Seattle. Fantastic. Rich A, nice to see you or not see you. Kristen, I think she's in the Pennsylvania area. She's trying to set up another retreat there. Yes, we got Anita. Nice to see another gal from New Jersey. Oliver from Berlin. Let's see. I think that's it. Hey, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll see you today. Actually, we have a non-duality meeting at 4:30 Pacific time. You can get to it through the website under events with a group called Awakening Together. I don't know. They may be giving me a pink slip today. I don't know. I may get fired. So let's see if I can face life successfully. Yeah. Leave with respect, and decorum, hopefully. Decorum. Yes. All right. Thanks. See you guys.
Great, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.